In a remote corner of the Earth, on a peninsula larger than Japan, humanity is no longer at the apex of the food chain. This is a land perched on the Pacific Ring of Fire, a place of raw, elemental power, where the planet is still in the violent act of creation. This is Russia's final frontier. This is Kamchatka. Our journey begins in a city that seems to defy logic, clinging to the very edge of the world. Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky. It was born from a solitary outpost and grew into a testament to human endurance. Here, 181,000 souls have carved out a life in the shadow of 3 colossal volcanoes, ancient guardians that watch over the city. There is no road that leads here, none. Every arrival is a commitment, a passage by air or by sea into a realm governed by fire and ice. The people have learned that this world does not bend to them, they must bend to it. Its story is etched in the Joantine 40s. Its spirit was forged in the crucible of the Crimean War, when a small garrison of hunters and fishermen stood against a powerful fleet, refusing to yield their home. That defiant stand became a cornerstone of their identity. From above, the city rests in a basin of mountains. Steam from distant fumaroles drifts on the wind, mingling with the salt spray of the sea. Life proceeds with a quiet rhythm, as if the extraordinary were simply the ordinary. Just beyond the city, the scale shifts. Avacha Bay opens to the sky, a natural harbor so vast and deep it can shelter the world's largest vessels from the fury of the Pacific. For generations, this has been the city's lifeline, the artery connecting this isolated world to the one beyond. It is here that daily life meets the immense forces of the ocean. Humpback whales, ancient leviathans on their seasonal pilgrimage, breach near the shoreline, their breath hanging dark eyes observing the quiet movements along the waterfront. For the residents, these are not spectacles, they are neighbors. Their presence is just another thread in the complex tapestry of this place. Here, humanity does not hold dominion. It is merely a guest, a witness to a power that is timeless and absolute. It is a land that forces a profound reevaluation of our own significance, a reminder that we are but a small part of a much larger and much wilder story. In this remote corner of the world, an extraordinary juxtaposition unfolds. Here, the mechanical routines of a working port exist alongside the ancient, powerful rhythms of the Pacific. As the afternoon light softens, the water yields to a quieter cadence. Fishing boats, heavy with their catch, trace their way toward the docks. But farther out, a more profound presence makes itself known. The curved, colossal backs of whales, rising from the depths, only to disappear again into the blue. Guarding entrance to the bay, 3 tall rock pillars stand sentinel. Known as the 3 Brothers, they are monuments sculpted by an eternity of storm and tide. Their weathered surfaces capture the fading sun, a slow alchemy that turns gray stone to amber as the day surrenders to twilight. Between them, seabirds weave intricate paths, finding momentary shelter in the stone walls, before returning to the vast, open water. It is a landscape of stark contrasts, of human endeavor and wild grandeur, a place easily observed, but impossible to mistake for anywhere else. Inland, another force is at work. The Avachinsky River, nearing the end of its long journey, spreads into a wide, sprawling floodplain. Its channel splinters and reconnects, carving long, serpentine loops through low marshes and water-saturated earth. Seen from above, it is a liquid braid, a network of curves shaped by the steady push of the current and the slow deposition of seasons. This gentle, meandering world stands in stark defiance of the straight, steep coastlines that dominate the peninsula. On either side of the main channel, wetlands extend, a living tapestry of grasses, reeds, and willow that shifts in density as the water breathes, rising and falling with the year. Small ponds, caught between the river's loops, hold calm, glassy surfaces, disturbed only by the silent passage of birds or the touch of a distant wind. The water's deliberate pace allows the sediment of the interior valleys to settle, transforming the floodplain into a broad, natural filter. It is a transitional zone, a haven for life. Waterfowl gather in the quiet pools. In the soft earth along the firmer edges of the marsh, the delicate tracks of a fox tell a story of silent, nocturnal hunts. The river moves with just enough force to shape its own path, yet slow enough to preserve immense stretches of stillness. As the floodplain widens, the curves begin to straighten, the vegetation thins. The river makes its final, sweeping bends before it feels the tidal influence of the Pacific. For a brief moment, the last calm stretches of fresh water hold their shape, a final act of identity before they merge with the more powerful currents of the coastline ahead. Here, where river meets sea, the land transforms. The shoreline darkens, becoming something more austere, more primordial. The ground itself is a deep, volcanic black, an uninterrupted sweep of sand born from ash and shattered lava, settled here over thousands of years. It is a testament to the planet's fiery heart, a raw and elemental shore where the story of creation is not a distant memory, but a constant, unfolding presence. Each wave arrives with a cold weight, a surge of white foam spreading across the dark sand, only to retreat and reveal the stark contrast once more. Here, on the edge of the continent, the Pacific feels primordial. Its rhythm is steady, yet forceful, carrying a chill that lingers even in the heart of summer. The wind drives a low mist across the shore, softening the hard lines of the landscape. It is a world of elemental shades, black sand, brilliant surf, and drifting haze, a visual signature rarely found elsewhere. Against this raw power, figures move with practiced ease. They are local surfers, reading the water as if it were a familiar text, moving through the waves without hesitation. Their presence is a testament to the character of this coast. It is a harsh place, yet its profound clarity and openness call to them, offering a vista that remains, at once, simple and unforgettable. Further inland, the earth itself is breathing. The first sensation is not seen, but heard, the sound of moving steam. It rises in steady bursts from vents scattered across the slopes, a low rumble that merges with the wind. Snowfields cut through the terrain in stark, irregular shapes. As the path climbs higher, the contrast between white ice and exposed volcanic stone sharpens. Meltwater carves narrow channels, carrying fine sediment toward deeper basins, shaped by millennia of thermal shifts. Near the central fumaroles, the activity intensifies. Heat pushes upward with enough force to birth clouds of vapor that drift and reform in a slow, hypnotic dance. Pools of liquid mud boil, their thick surfaces rolling with subterranean pressure. Gas escapes through fissures that widen and close as temperatures fluctuate. Instruments left by researchers record readings that often exceed 500 degrees Celsius at the source. That the surrounding ice remains at all is a paradox, possible only through constant replenishment from the higher ridges. This is a clear and visceral display of two ancient systems in direct conflict. Ice grinds downward through channels carved by previous seasons, while geothermal energy reshapes the ground directly beneath it. Their meeting point is a landscape of vibrant color, abrupt shifts in temperature, and surfaces that can change without warning. Here, snow can vanish into vapor in mere seconds. Closer to the crater rim, the steam condenses into thick columns, reducing visibility to just a few feet. The sound of releasing gas becomes a sharp hiss, accompanied by the low vibration of water circulating deep underground. The edge of the crater opens into a field of vents, each a unique expression of pressure and heat. And on the nearby rocks, a thin, yellow layer settles, the lingering trace of sulfur, the faint chemical signature of the world below. In such places, we are made witness to the planet's unceasing creation. It is a powerful and humbling reminder that the ground beneath our feet is not a static stage, but a dynamic surface, forever caught between the forces of fire and ice. Beyond the steaming slopes of Mutnovsky, the earth exhales and the terrain settles. The volcanic breath thins, revealing a vast open caldera, the Goli volcano. Its summit is a crown of overlapping craters, a geologic chronicle of collapse and eruption, each scar a chapter in its violent primordial history. Within one of these immense basins, a lake demands attention. It is a perfect, contained world, resting far below the crater rim, its waters held fast by sheer walls of stone. The surface glows with an impossible turquoise, an alchemical brew of dissolved minerals and acidic compounds, a direct line to the seething volcanic heart below. Along the inner rim, Fumaroles release their gases in slow, measured pulses. Thin veils of vapor drift across the water, a fleeting sign of the immense power held in check beneath the placid surface. Everything here seems frozen in time. The lake holds its level. The walls remain immense and unmoving. But the rising gas is a quiet reminder that this stillness is an illusion, a pause in a conversation that has lasted for eons. From this high, silent cauldron, a new sound emerges, a steady rush of falling water, breaking the profound silence of the volcanic slopes. It is the Spokane waterfall, gathering its strength from hidden channels of meltwater. The stream arrives at a basalt ledge and plunges downward, a straight, determined descent of some 16 meters. Its curtain of white is a stark rebellion against the landscape, a world of dark, hardened lava and loose gray ash. Near its base, a constant spray gives life to a patch of impossibly bright grass, a defiant oasis carved by moisture. The name, Spokane, is derived from a word for calm, a fitting description not for the raw power of the setting, but for the cascade's unceasing, rhythmic flow. It is a constant pulse in a land of upheaval, a brief change of pace before the water continues its journey toward the sea. Further south, the water gathers. In the Kuril Islands, it forms a basin vast enough to hold a world. Kuril Lake, the second largest freshwater body in Kamchatka. A subtle ripple on the waterline marks the moment. The first of the great bears enters the shallows, soaring a summons as old as the mountains themselves. They have come for the water, for the life it holds. Here, in the shadow of the volcano, the ancient pact is renewed. A world born of fire and sculpted by water gives rise to life. And life, in turn, honors the forces that shaped it, a cycle, unbroken, at the edge of the world. An ancient summons draws all movement into a single basin. It begins in the vast expanse of the Sea of Okhotsk, where nutrient-rich currents sustain dense concentrations of plankton and small fish, a foundation for the entire food web, from orcas to the salmon that will soon turn inland. When water temperatures stabilize in the early summer, a biological imperative is triggered. Each salmon, driven by an unwavering instinct, returns to the freshwater system of its origin. The first sign is often a sudden flash of crimson just beneath the surface. The upstream journey is essential. Here, in these rivers, the gravel beds provide the precise flow, oxygen, and substrate needed to cradle the next generation. As the run strengthens, the river fills with continuous motion. Fish push against the current in short, powerful bursts, their bodies transforming, shifting fully into spawning condition. This silver tide, a pulse of life from the ocean, does not go unnoticed. From the surrounding valleys, paths converge upon the shoreline. The gathering grows as new arrivals take up their positions. As the numbers of salmon rise, it becomes possible to see well over 20 bears within a single field of view, each drawn by the promise of the migration. Their activity follows a clear sequence. The drama begins when the first strong pulse of fish pushes through the narrow channels. Adults hold their stance, tracking the current for the slightest sign of movement. Cubs stay close, silent apprentices watching each adjustment in weight, each quick, efficient strike. They repeat the paths of the adults, learning where the fish gather and how to approach without disrupting the fragile truce of the group. Bears wade, shift toward deeper pockets, and rest on gravel bars, returning to the same locations as the current changes. Trails of disturbed sediment settle after each pass through the shallows. It is a season of relentless consumption, a race to accumulate the fat reserves essential for surviving the long winter ahead. The salmon provide a dense, unparalleled source of energy, and the bears make full use of this fleeting window. For one, it is the end of a great journey, the release of eggs to complete a life cycle. For the other, it is the means of survival. In this annual convergence, the energy of the ocean is carried upstream and delivered into the heart of the land, fueling one life as another comes to its heroic conclusion. Driven by an ancient imperative, they arrive at the gravel beds of their birth. Here, with failing strength, females carve shallow depressions in the riverbed, depositing the future of their species. Males stand a fleeting, final vigil beside them. Their purpose fulfilled, the cycle closes. Life gives way, and their spent bodies drift to the river's edge. But this is not an end, it is a transformation. Their very essence becomes a vital nutrient source for the world they have left behind. Bears, drawn from the Great Lake to these connected channels, feast upon the accumulated bounty. Where the current slackens, birds and smaller hunters find their share. Even in decay, they give back, releasing materials that seep into the sediment, feeding the very roots of the forest. The river itself is in constant flux, reshaped by each new wave of arrivals, a system perpetually remade by the life and death that flows within it. Elsewhere, the Earth tells a similar story of power and change. Plumes of steam vent through fissures in the ground, a subtle breath betraying the immense heat stored just beneath the surface. Here, in the Valley of Geysers, molten rock deep within the crust superheats the groundwater, powering the dramatic forces that have sculpted this landscape. The valley is a theater of geothermal power, home to 25 major geysers and some 175 smaller thermal events, each erupting in a rhythmic, cyclical release of steam and water. Along the runoff channels, the superheated earth supports life of a different kind. Vibrant bands of microbial mats and mosses, painting the ground in zones of recognizable color. But this seemingly timeless landscape bears the fresh scars of a catastrophic event. The year was 2007. A colossal landslide tore down the slope at speeds between 22 and 25 miles per hour. A torrent of mud, snow, and rock scouring the earth. The debris choked the river, forming a temporary dam. Water rose, inundating iconic features, thermal terraces, watered. The valley's recovery has been a story told in stages. 6 years passed. The waters of the newly formed lake receded, revealing vents long thought lost. Then, in 2014, another slide surged through the river channel. This time, it breached the dam, draining the lake and exposing the valley floor once more. The Mali geyser roared back to life, and as pressure shifted deep underground, a new geyser, later named Veer, was born from the chaos. Now, as steam drifts across the basin in the shifting light, uncovered channels and fresh deposits mark a path toward the vast geothermal fields that lie beyond. Ahead, the ground falls away. A wide depression, framed by fractured ridgelines, marks the entrance to a vast collapsed structure, the ghost of ancient, violent volcanism. This is the Uzan caldera, a basin spanning nearly 6 miles, its floor a mosaic of thermal pools and simmering earth. From the riverbed to the volcanic basin, the story is the same. It is a world not of permanence, but of profound and relentless transformation. Here, destruction is not an end, but a necessary prelude to creation, a constant, powerful reshaping of the earth itself, indifferent to what was and intent only on what will be. Here, the earth breathes. Columns of steam rise and fall with the shifting pressure forest. Every feature occupies ground shaped by cataclysm, the memory of a great collapse that emptied a chamber of magma and sank the world above. In the geothermal fields, this memory is most alive. Boiling mud swells in rhythmic pulses, its surface a shifting mosaic, sculpted by the restless plumbing of the underworld. Narrow streams, heavy with dissolved earth, trace delicate paths toward shallow pools, building intricate terraced levees where their burdens settle, layer by patient layer. Life reclaims the land in defiant pockets of green, where cooler groundwater seeps to the surface, an oasis among the sterile, thermal zones. It is a landscape in a state of constant becoming, where new deposits form over the remnants of an ancient catastrophe. On ground once buried in ash, small grasslands have taken hold. Shrubs cling to the inner slopes. Lakes, born in the aftermath, maintain their level, fed by channels that weave across the basin floor. It is a living record of water, heat, sediment, and vegetation, a testament to the slow, inexorable reorganization of a world torn apart. Between the towering giants of the Central Range, a high-altitude corridor offers passage. This is the land of Avachapas. Here, a strange silhouette punctuates the skyline. From a distance, its jagged, double-humped form is unmistakable. Kamal Mountain, a great beast of stone resting in the snow. This is no fossil, but a monument to fire, a throat of magma that hardened deep within the earth, and was later unmasked by millennia of wind and erosion. And unlike the silent zones to the north, this pass hums with a frantic miniature life. It is the territory of the Arctic ground squirrel, the Yavrashka. These small, golden-furred creatures are the true masters of Thor purchase on the cold, unstable slopes. They move with an absolute, effortless grace. They are perfectly engineered for a landscape that humans can only hope to endure. Elsewhere, the Earth tells a story of more recent violence. A vast field of fractured lava stretches toward the horizon, a dark river frozen in mid-flow, born from fissures that bled molten rock across the land. The terrain leads onward, toward the great mass of Tolbachik volcano. Here, the surface splinters into jagged ridges of solidified basalt and ash plains that drink the light. From isolated vents, the faintest ghosts of heat still rise. Every surface is sharp to the touch, stones fractured into razored edges, coated in the fine, gray dust of past furies. This is not a finished place. It is a slow, unfolding event, a landscape that is forever writing and rewriting the story of its own creation. Here, the very skin of the earth is a chronicle of fire. The landscape unfolds in stark contrasts. Ancient lava, cooled into vast, smooth plains of obsidian, gives way to younger flows, brittle, violent structures, riddled with deep cavities and edges sharp as fractured glass. Bands of muted color, laid down by layers of ash, sweep across the open field. Patches of scorched soil scar the ground, mapping the ghost paths of recent thermal energy. It was this alien terrain, this uneven ground, and its deceptive low-contrast light that called to another world. Tolbachik became a crucible, a terrestrial proving ground for the Lunokhod rover prototypes. On these varied slopes and fields of fragmented lava, engineers tested the limits of traction, the accuracy of sensors, the durability of equipment destined for the moon. Faint traces of their passage remain, compressed tracks and disturbed ash, the quiet signature of a cosmic ambition written upon a volcanic plain. As the light arcs across the sky, the outlines of new fissures sharpen, their dark lines guiding the eye toward the high cones, toward a volcanic corridor that vanishes deep into the range. There, dark silhouettes stand against a canvas of ash and compacted sand. They are the remnants of a forest, buried and burned in the great eruption of 1975. The trunks rise without branches, their surfaces hardened by immense heat, their bark stripped away, their color bleached to bone. They hold a fixed, silent formation, each one marking the exact position where a living tree once stood, before a torrent of fire moved through the valley. The ground itself is a tapestry of muted grays and reds, woven from successive volcanic deposits. Wind stirs the loose ash, sculpting it into shallow ripples that gather at the base of these skeletal trunks. In the profound stillness, the scale of the cataclysm becomes clear. An entire forest, preserved in its final moment, its form altered by fire, but its arrangement still loyal to the slope that once nurtured its growth. The power of the scene is born from this contrast, the unyielding vertical lines of the trees against the vast, empty space that surrounds them. It is a monument to both absolute loss and stubborn endurance. The spacing of the trunks creates a phantom blueprint, revealing the density of the woodland that was, while the subtle rises and depressions. This preserved fragment of destruction is not an island. It is intrinsically linked to the larger landscape born from the same event. The open field extends, rising toward the immense volcanic formations that dominate the horizon. The ground climbs in a steady, inexorable incline, forming a broad pedestal of dark, primordial material. And from this foundation, a titan ascends. Klyuchevskaya Sopka, the highest active volcano in Eurasia. It is not merely a mountain, it is the source, the architect of this entire world, a constant presence that defines the very meaning of the land. It rises from the earth in near-perfect symmetry, a cone of immense scale cloaked in snow that endures through the turning of the seasons. Its summit commands every valley, a fixed and silent sentinel for all who journey through this land. The eye is drawn upward, across lower flanks that tell a story of fire, of ancient lava flows, compacted ash, and deep channels carved by meltwater. Here, the gradient sharpens, ascending toward the central cone. Faint plumes of vapor occasionally break from the summit, tracing a delicate line between the frozen earth and the vast, open sky. Only from a distance does its true immensity become clear, as secondary vents and small ridges appear as mere markings upon its slopes. This is Klyuchevskaya Sopka. For the communities that have lived for generations in its shadow, it is more than a mountain. It is the defining presence that shapes their world, dictating the routes of travel, the rhythm of the seasons, and the very orientation of their settlements. Its enduring geological pulse has sculpted the path of rivers, the spread of vegetation, and the ancient corridors of wildlife. It is a landmark not only of physical geography, but of cultural memory. The same primordial forces that built the cone find their final expression at the edge of the continent. Here, long stretches of basalt cliffs form the last boundary of Kamchatka before it meets the open Pacific. This is a landscape forged in repeated volcanic violence, leaving a coastline of sharp ridges and broken shelves that fall away into the sea. Waves, in their steady, relentless intervals, strike these formations, throwing white spray against the dark rock. From above, the coast is a continuous line of inlets and narrow coves, where the ocean's energy is focused and amplified. The wind, crossing the peninsula, accelerates as it reaches this edge, carrying the cold and the salt across the cliff tops. Swells rise to consume entire ledges before retreating, leaving behind thin trails of foam that trace the shore's unyielding contours. And here, riding the invisible currents born from this collision of wind and rock, is the Stellar's sea eagle. Its flight path is not chosen, but given, an updraft created by the eternal meeting of air and stone. In this place of raw power, life does not resist the elements. It becomes an expression of them. From a distance, a solitary hunter traces a deliberate arc above the sheer rock face. Its eyes are fixed on the shallows, where shifting currents betray the movement of fish below. Against the immense vertical drops, the eagle's silhouette is a living measure of the landscape's raw power. The cliffs recede, the coastline softening as it curves toward a sanctuary of sheltered water. Here, the roar of the open sea surrenders to a deeper, slower pulse, the sound of a world turning inward. The channel breathes open, revealing surfaces smoothed by their long protection from the ocean's fury. This profound shift in the water's character announces our arrival into Klyuchevskaya Bay. It is a basin, sea. First, only a whisper on the water, a subtle distortion of the mirror. Then, slicing through the surface with silent, absolute authority, a black dorsal fin. The bay's entrance is a narrow gate, guarding a corridor of profound calm. The world outside is held at bay, its echoes muted, its chaos silenced by the stillness within. This is a place of concentration, where life is drawn into a crucible of opportunity. Its deep, cold currents are a constant, reliable engine, summoning the apex hunters of this coast. A pod of orcas moves through the channel, their passage a study in lethal precision. Every movement is deliberate, a measured patrol for salmon returning from the vast Pacific, or for seals hauled out on isolated shores. In the quiet of the bay, their complex society becomes clear. A matriarch sets the pace, her experience guiding the hunt, while younger members hold their formation, a dynasty moving as one. Their calls, clicks, and whistles ricochet off the enclosing walls, lingering in the water, a natural amphitheater for a language older than the cliffs themselves. Their very presence rewrites the rhythm of the inlet. Seabirds take flight long before they pass. The waterline remains unsettled. Every shadow on the surface now carries an unspoken weight. Traveling deeper into the heart of the bay, the last fins submerge, leaving behind only the ghost of a ripple, a fleeting signature on the water's surface. We search for the places where humanity's dominion ceases, where the rules are not our own. Here, the answer reveals itself not in words, but in stone, water, and instinct. The landscape operates on a scale beyond any blueprint we could ever impose upon it. As the peninsula recedes, it leaves a void of sea, and the sea itself is an immensity. There remain corners of this earth that function entirely without place, steadfast, remote, and utterly, primordially complete.